Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU and welcome to my Riftborn playthrough / tutorial. This is going to be a very fun series, I hope, because this is also the very first series that I record after fighters and bombers have been introduced, alongside plenty of balance changes and minor fixes which were also very much welcome. Now, if you are a newcomer to my channel by any chance, then I have to tell you that this video and the series in general will contain a lot of talking, because what I do during those videos is I explain everything that I do and say exactly why I do the things that I do. This is kind of thing for me, this is what my entire channel is all about. So if you just care about the action and don't want to listen to my annoying voice, that's probably not a video for you. However, if that's not the case, and if you do want to perhaps try to learn something, I encourage you to stick around and watch the Riftborn annihilate the galaxy. Those are the settings we're going to go for. I don't think I'm gonna change anything over here. Now, in the past, some people have claimed that, well, manufacturing difficulty was too low, or maybe there were just not enough manufacturing spawning. The thing about this is that if I were to set the manufacturing quantity too high, then I'm kind of afraid on what would happen to the AIs, and that there wouldn't be enough room in the galaxy to actually settle on. But just for you, just to prove a point, I don't know what point exactly, I'm going to set this to high manufacturing quantity, which is going to be an interesting game because I decided to play with 7 competitors on just a medium scale galaxy size. So considering the fact that we're also going to add some minor factions, as in more than usual, it's going to be a very cramped in here. In fact, you know what, I will undo this, for the very simple reason that this would give a very big edge to the Riftborn, and I don't want this to be too easy for me. I want to have a challenge, so never mind. Next playthrough, we'll do more pirates. This game, it's just, they're going to be hard, of course, and of course, game difficulty will be on the highest possible game difficulty, that being the endless. Everything else will be just as you see right here, right now. I'm looking forward to seeing the Riftborn ships clash against some of the mighty ships from other iconic armadas such as Horatia's armada, for instance. This would be interesting. Or even Unfallen, because we're the total opposites of Unfallen. But anyway, let's go ahead and start the game. We're not going to see the faction introduction because there is no need to do that. You can watch those on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, quite easily. I'll just drink some tea. And trust me, this tea is amazing. Wow. I do love me some tea. Anywho, this is the galaxy we started with, and right off the bat we're right next to a minor faction. So I guess it's a... well, I wanted to say it's a good thing that I decided to tone them down, but then again, being a Riftborn player in a galaxy where there is no room to expand to does give you a considerable advantage, because you can maximize your potential of your systems by using your singularities, but we'll get to that at a later date. We're playing on the Ovoid Galaxy, which I kind of enjoy. It's the most interconnected galaxy out of all the settings, I'm pretty sure, perhaps alongside the colliding galaxies, but honestly this one is even more interconnected than that, and basically you can get everywhere from everywhere. And I like it, I like the dynamic it gives you. You don't have to spend too much time traveling when you're just trying to kill somebody. It's very fun in my opinion. Anywho, let's focus on what we do on our very first turn, because that's rather important, wouldn't you agree? So first of all, let's talk about our hero, because that hero, I suppose it would be an Electron if not for the fact that he doesn't have the charge icon next to his E, so I'll just call him E. So E is amazing, as most Riftborn heroes are, because almost all of the racial abilities give you bonuses to being amazing governors. With, I mean, sure, there are exceptions, I can see those too, but these are the only exceptions, blah! Couldn't speak English there for a second. Also, obviously, he can increase the amount of resources you gain, and as Riftborn, you always start with a source of resources. In fact, let's real quickly go over their empire traits. I'm sure you know them, but let's go through them real quick. Continuous Sculptures is what gives you access to singularities. Again, we'll cover them later. Riftborn as a population, we're going to cover in a moment to gain some extra population. You are very slow. This is going to be an issue for you if you want to be a warmonger. But there are ways around that that also involve you doing your faction quest, which I'll explain once we hit 10-3. Biophobic means we like nasty planets, which is actually really good because those nasty planets tend to be actually better than the fertile planets in my opinion. So I don't know why. I mean, I can see why the game would consider the biophobic to be a negative trait. I really enjoy it a lot. It gives you a lot of possibility to be this kind of very industry-heavy faction, which is what we are going to be, because we're Riftborn. The Riftborn don't procreate as in the traditional way. They don't use food to grow the population. They also don't provide any bonuses for growing population by the fact via their own population type. However, you do have other manufacturers in your empire that can grow using food. It's just the major population that you have doesn't use food, but look at how useful it is. The only downside is that the only way to make those guys is to make those guys. Like literally you have to spend a significant amount of industry just to have them. So that's the downside, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. Firstly though, let's go ahead and actually go back to the system. Assign our hero, there is no reason not to do that. Our hero is going to give us a little bit of extra science gain, and if we are to expand to another anomaly, which we have not done yet, but right now I don't feel like there's any point in putting him with any of our scout fleets, because I'm going to retrofit my scout ships to be faster, and then if I were to attach a hero to them, that would mean that I would have to retrofit a hero as well. I generally speaking don't like using heroes as first-turn scouts for most factions, not all of them, because they're quite inefficient and actually gain less level ups than you could assume they should in many situations. At least that's my experience up to this point. So a quick look at our system, shall we? So we've got a nice planet that's going to be easy to colonize. As you can see, as the Riftborn, our colonization priority is completely reversed, because we have an easy time colonizing harsh planets like this ice planet or this toxic planet, but the ocean planets are the most horrifying things in the universe for us. Besides, they're very useless because they give us a lot of food, which we don't really use all that much, except for our minor population. Also, there is an alarm going off in my neighborhood, so that's annoying, but I hope you cannot hear that. If you can, then well, my apologies. Anywho, it looks like our start is very much so about science, and overall, unfortunately, I'm not a very big fan of our starting system. Usually you start as any faction, you start with one planet that you can colonize right off the bat, or have a very easy access to colonize quickly, and two planets that are harder to colonize. In our case, we actually got access to two planets that we can colonize right off the bat, which is nice, but they're not very specialized. I mean, yes, they are specialized planets. I kind of like the ice planet because of the science potential. Toxic is kind of meh. I'm not a very big fan of those, but we can always potentially just, you know, change the planet up once we get the technology to do so, terraform it. Now, when it comes to our laws, we start with industrialists and ecologists in our government. Because of how the game is, oftentimes the ecologists get a very big bonus in the early game, but because we are playing as the Riftborn, ecologists have considerably less support, so they might not actually be in the government for long, even though optimists do support the ecologists and don't like the industrialists, so it depends how quickly they grow. But at the start, industrialists should have the advantage. Now, what I like to try to do often is to have religious parties try to take the lead, but we'll see how well that goes. We're playing as the Republic, by the way, which again means that I really want religious party in the government, because religious party has this thing that allows them to basically force everybody to be happy if you have Republic, and we do have Republic enacted. So this is a very nice ability, but since that's not on the table right now, what I'm going to go for is Toys for Boys decree. It doesn't cost us any upkeep, it does lower our industry production, which is usually nasty. In our case, it's fine, it's still going to let us make the drone networks in just 2 turns, which is okay, but it does increase our everything else, because our system is now happy, which means increased food and influence gain, and our empire is also loyal, which means increased science and dust gain. All of this is a small increase in the early game, but nevertheless it is an increase that you can use to your advantage. Now, in the technology tree, I'll always go for xenolinguistics first, because we do start with a source of Hyperium that I would like to start mining ASAP. It is a redundant technology, of course. We don't need to have it to go to higher eras over here on the tree. But nevertheless, you should use titanium. It's just so useful for so many things. You really have to grab it. There are no ways to... It's just a must-have, it's period. Even though it does cost you a bit of science in the long run. It's really acceptable, honestly. Do you drink some tea? Now, you might be wondering what kind of victory condition we're going to go for. Well, I usually don't like deciding victory condition before I start. I mean, for videos I do, but otherwise I don't like doing so. Let me retrofit my ships well attack. And I will retrofit them quite heavily, in fact. And I don't think my scout ship needs to have this cannon, and I'll uninstall it so that it costs less to retrofit. Nice and easy. And I'll also retrofit my, expansion ship just so it can move a little bit faster. I can then use the dust to retrofit it and have it be basically a literal rocket that just flies in space without any issues. And now, in fact, it's even faster than our scout ship, which is a bit ironic, perhaps. Do I want to start by discovering what those guys have? What our neighbors are? I kind of do want to start interacting with them as quickly as possible, but I think it's more important to find a suitable place for us to expand. So let's go ahead and try to do that first and foremost. Now, as for victory... Oh, that's nice. As for victory condition, like I said, I don't have one set up usually. That's an amazing system to expand to, by the way. Lava, I love those. But Riftborn usually are very good at warring. Like, seriously, I know I'm a warmonger personally, so... Of course, I'm not talking about Conquest. Conquest is garbage and needs to be buffed. It's the weakest, most difficult to achieve victory condition in the entire game. But Supremacy, you can get quite easily out of the Riftborn. You can create troops, which allows you to have infinite manpower, basically. And your ships are just gorgeously powerful. I don't know if gorgeously was the right word to use, but in my heart, it made sense. There are some other things you might go for, like if you are lucky enough to get all of the resources you want, the victory is certainly very much so on the table for the Riftborn. It's quite easy for them to get that, assuming they have access to the resources. Economy is usually off the table for me, but then again, I never try to go for economy. I tend to neglect that as a player, it's just a thing for me. Science victory is also very much in your hands, because you have this very powerful late game tools that allow you to boost your science gain by a ridiculous amount, which I'm showing you right now. So again, pretty much, and actually if you want to go for dust, there are also ways to have insane dust gains, especially with the Tower of Temporal Paradox, if you try to rush it. But again, that's not my style, so economy victory is pretty much off the table. We'll see what kind of victory we're gonna go for later. Now, I kinda don't want to explore any curiosities on the system for the very simple reason that it looks like the next system is somewhere here, it's very close by, and I think I'll make it to that other system within 5 movement, and apparently I was wrong, so I should have done something else instead. But that was a good... well, it was me just taking a little gamble over there. That's fine, let's start expanding the ASAP. Obviously we want to have our next expansion done as quickly as humanly possible, so let's just go ahead and do that without even saying hi to our neighbors yet. We're going to colonize lava first and foremost. Now, there's a thing you need to know about the Riftborn colonization, is the fact that, well, as I said, the Riftborn population does not use food. You have to build them, but this also means that their outposts work in a different way. They grow faster if they have more industry on it, and basically they are turning into colonies once you accumulated enough industry to create a population unit on that planet. Very straightforward, really. But the downside is that the only way for you to boost the speed at which this happens is to use titanium and hyperium, which is also why... Again, the alarm goes off, for crying aloud. Anyway, I hope nobody is being robbed though. Anyway, which is why you do want to start gaining steady gain of those two resources as quickly as possible, which is why I started with xenolinguistics. Alright, I believe that was long enough for our first turn. It was almost 14 minutes, so let's go ahead and keep going. I don't think there's anything I forgot about. So let's just go ahead and keep going, and we'll go ahead and have... crying aloud. Okay, well... we're playing against NSAI, so they're gonna grab some instant wondrous deeds, because it's NSAI. If they are lucky enough to grab an appropriate deed, they're just gonna grab it because it's AI. And in this case, I can tell that it was the Cravers, based on the color, because I did set the colors for refraction. Fair! 2 planets that I can colonize, and it's an Arctic and a Barren. Potentially decent system for science production, but only 2 planets. Not too keen on expanding to there. Basically, in Inner Space 2, you have to be actually quite... either have amazing approval bonuses, for instance, if you go for the religious party, or alternatively, you need to just be very cautious which systems you want to colonize, and basically be like, oh, this system only has 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 planets. That's not worth it to colonize it, because the system management is very important, because there's only so few systems that you can colonize without penalties, and those abroad penalties can be quite harsh. Of course, for many factions it's a non-issue and a no point, but for Riftborn it might not be. Speaking of which, you might be thinking that the Riftborn should be played as a Tau Empire. This is in fact probably the way the developers envisioned the Riftborn to be played as. But in fact, I would strongly disagree. Riftborn are supposed to be played as a wider empire, just like pretty much everybody else in Endless Space do, unfortunately. Because sure, you have those singularities, but they just serve as a boost, basically. After late or even middle game cases, they just boost your entire empire, and even in the early game, they just make some of your systems better, but that doesn't mean that you should not have as many systems as possible, really. Anyway, we cut the warmongering issue, so that's good to know. They're not going to be very big fans of us, but we can go ahead and explore some curiosities on their planets. Maybe I'll try to be nice and peaceful with them, or maybe I'll subjugate them by the sheer force of, well, my force, ground force, as that being. But let's see what plans they have. They have a tundra, forest, and gas giant cold. Not a very promising system. So they're just guys that I don't really care about or even don't want to think about. Not necessarily the best neighbors, but I suppose not the worst either. Actually, they are the worst neighbors I could have right now. Everything else would have been better. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at our faction quest, shall we? My master responding for some reason. It does that sometimes, it's annoying. So you can go ahead and read the lore if you so choose by pausing the video, because it's a long lore, I'm not gonna read this out. So you have a few possibilities right off the bat. You can go ahead and explore a bunch of curiosities who are here level 3 or higher. This will take you too much time. I will generally advise against this option. Next option is to strengthen. Also, if you want to read the fluff text, you can go ahead and do that. Strengthen is, well, it's still going to take some time, but it's more reliable than explore, in my honest opinion. I like it better. Also, it supports your industrialist party, which you do want to be in the power at all times. So this is quite important. And next is reach out. Now this depends very much so on your starting situation. If there are minor civilizations near you, you might want to go for that, especially if those are minor factions that you are interested in. So far, I already discovered one, which I don't care about, but if I find another one in their stead, for instance, then I may want to go for reach out, but personally I just like strengthen way more than anything. So let's go ahead and have a quick look-see at... Alright, I don't have any more movement left, because that's the 10 done. Well, in this case, we're just going to go for strengthen. Hisho are really not very good candidates for our minor faction allies, so reach out is not something that I feel is the best bet in our current situation. You do, however, want to finish this chapter as quickly as possible, because the next chapter is going to be very important, and it's going to increase in difficulty exponentially, as in the later you are in the game, the harder it will be for you to complete the second chapter, because it involves you colonizing an entirely new system. But you do so you should take that into account. Alrighty then, Xeno infrastructures, and now since I do want to make things at a fast pace, I'm going to cancel the Toys for Boys. It doesn't actually increase my speed of construction right now, that's true. So maybe I should enact it again. Yeah, I should just enact it again. I was checking if it would increase or decrease the speed at which I make Xeno infrastructure, and it had no effect, so it's better to be happy. It slightly increases your gains overall, and there's no real reason not to lower this industry a bit, since it will take me 3 turns anyway. It does mean that overall my industry suffers a bit, sure, but I think it's okay-ish. Because keep in mind, the industry overflow does stay there for 110, so you can overflow industry and use it for something else to make it faster. So I am wasting a bit of industry, but I think it's okay because I have a lot of other bonuses empire-wide that I gain by sacrificing a bit of industry. And it's early game, so minus 10% is really not a lot. Alright, and the game suggests me to grab multi-thread management so I can accelerate production and grab things straight right off the bat. Thing is, we're going to be quite industry productive, so I'm not sure if that's really the best bet. Even though, of course, you also have things like Cube of the Viceroy, which is quite nice, and it does let you stabilize dust-wise for a considerable length of time. But there are other things you may want. For instance, galactic commodities is pretty much a must-have, but not necessarily right now, because it is quite an expensive technology. So what I might go for instead is I might go for off-world agribusiness. just to gain access to Xeno synergy and also to, of course, increase the approval rating of my entire empire overall. Or I may try to decide if I want to think about colonizing some other planets, but right now I haven't seen planets that are easy to colonize for me that I'm too interested in. So I'm probably going to do nothing of the sort. Then again, Forest and Monsoon. What were the planets here? There was a Monsoon planet. I don't know what's on it though. Well, either way, I don't need to think about colonizing it just now. I'm going to go for off-world agribusiness first. Now, that doesn't mean that planetary landscaping is something you should never grab. In most cases you shouldn't, but there's a fallacy that I think a lot of Riftborn players might believe, and that's the fact that, well, your major faction population is so powerful, you probably would want to have it grow and not have anybody else grow, right? And I would say this is not necessarily the case. Like, there are two ways to play the Riftborn. Have very powerful middle game Riftborn or have very powerful end game Riftborn. If you want to have very powerful end game Riftborn, you're in luck. Your faction quest will allow you to boost the power of Riftborn population. Spoilers, but I suppose it's non-story spoilers, so it's okay. And you can do that by just limiting the growth of every other faction, just getting as little food as possible. But the thing is, making every Riftborn costs you a lot, so this would hurt you in early and middle game quite considerably. So what I like to do is rely quite heavily on other populations, so I do try my best to attract as many minor factions to my empire as possible. I don't focus on food production, but you're gonna get food production nevertheless no matter what you do, so you might as well let it be used for you to give you some extra population. That's how I personally approach this topic, so yeah, there is that. Anywho, let me drink some extra tea as I look at what's happening. So, I do want to try to have the religious party in the lead, because that would let me expand to everywhere without any repercussions. Industrialists plus religious parties are really good next in my honest opinion. They're very powerful. Same would be actually with ecologists and religious if ecologists are in the lead, but this would be too difficult to accomplish for the Riftborn, I believe. So let's not try anything crazy like that. Also, Riftborn don't benefit very much from the ecologist party anyway. So I might actually just go straight up for xenology, just to increase the political impact for the religious party. And this would give me access to Spin Project, which I probably wouldn't make right off the bat. But at some point I would sadly go for Academy Embassy. It's quite useful. Again, it boosts my religious tension and it allows me to have more heroes, and heroes are very, very important in this game. So I might go for that. Efficient shooting, I'll tell you right now, I'm not gonna grab ever. Sure, those ships are nice, but the real power of the Riftborn comes from their middle range ships. The triangular class and the tetrahedral class. They are extraordinary, specialized, very powerful ships. The triangular class is the best glass cannon in the game. It just tears through everything in a moment of moments, but it has armor made of paper. So, but you can support it very nicely with the tetrahedral class, which has a small contingent of fighters, if you want it to have, but it also has a lot of support modules which you will need. And those two combined are very powerful, and you know you will always be able to make those because they start with both titanium and hyperium. So yeah, these are bad boys I would make the Riftborn considerable. But right now, what do I need? First and foremost, I need to explore, and then I need to make my decisions as to which technology I wish to grab next. So let's have a quick look-see. I found the pilgrims. Well, looks like I could have gone for the other option, I suppose, in my major faction thingy. That's okay. Pilgrims are much better though. They give me science, which I lack, and they also increase your religious political output. Now I know, role-playing wise, in Alice Space 1, I had this little thing against pilgrims when I hated them, and I took every opportunity I had to obliterate them. I still kind of feel the same way. I still want to murder every pilgrim I see, but let's be honest, they would be a very good addition to our empire. So let's have a quick look-see. Acidic Acceptance program is very good. I think I might grab it even if I don't find any Chandra, because H-Field Fleet Accelerator is something I know I want to use at some point regardless of what happens, so that's already useful. The extra approval, that's important for you, unless I do get the religious party in play. But I'll still need the H-Field Fleet Accelerator. because I will need to be able to move my triangular class faster, for which I will need the accelerator field installed on my tetrahedral class. So I will have to grab this thing never anyway, regardless of what happens. And then Xenology, I suppose, next. So this thing will give me the short range boost for before the elections happen, and then after a while I'll be able to increase. I'll hopefully be able to get the religious party in the lead, and then I'll not need the extra approval bonus. But still, the fleet accelerator by itself is a very worthwhile technology. So I like what I went for. All right. So the pilgrims, they're very friendly. So they will increase their diplomatic relation. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. With you steadily. We can increase that even further by exploring curiosities on the systems. So let's have a quick look. See, they have three curiosities. That's very nice. So let's explore them all one by one. In fact, I might keep this ship here just to explore the curiosities. But ooh, titanium. Oh my. Shame though that typically speaking, the Riftborn prefer to use edge weapons, but I could go for missile heavy approach. I'll discuss the weapons in a later video once we get to a point when I need to make military back, however. Anywho, that's a really lucky find, but I don't think I'm gonna stick around here for too long. I do need to explore more of the universe because it's quite densely packed universe. There are a lot of enemies around. 2 toxics, a snow, and a savanna. Savanna isn't a very bad planet. It's not fertile, so I don't get too much of an approval penalty when I colonize it. And I can colonize it quite easily. There's a snow planet as well. Those 2 toxics are not the best. What does it have? Dust Nebula. That's actually really good. Yeah, I'm gonna try to go for Altaria as quick as possible. So what I'm gonna do is I will downgrade my expansion ship to the very bare essential by having it have the basic colonization module. I'll make it a Nair, and then I will spend my dust to retrofit it with engines. This will allow me to save a decent amount of dust. Hopefully. So let's go ahead and do that. The Geist, let's have it queued up. Because keep in mind that, of course, we don't have the technology to speed up the buyout of things, so I cannot just speed up the construction of a Geist. So this is the second best option of lowering the industry cost of this guy and getting more benefits out of dust. Now, what planet do I want to colonize next? I need more industry badly, so I'm going to say that Toxic is going to be next planet. Also, it has an anomaly, and Riftborn really love anomalies, so it's going to be quite nice for them. Also, I imagine Riftborn will like cyber flora way more than regular flora, so they're gonna love it as well. It's going to be a very slow colonization progress though. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'll queue up interplanetary transport network, and then I'll probably colonize. Slowing like this, I'll decide how to improve this build order in a moment. But Julius, how long will it take you to get over there? Not a very long time, actually. How long until you have more probes? 2 turns, that's a long time. Alright, so let's keep exploring. We'll go back to Pilgrims at some point, and we'll have to we'll make them love us. And this will be really all cute and stuff. So, oh yeah, Nair. Let's see, if I abolish the law, how much time does it save me? Really not a lot, actually. And I do like the increased everything else. 7/10 for population. I should have checked it earlier, but whatever. I'm still gonna go for the extra approval because it does save me a 110 on population, which is still something, I suppose. And again, extra science, extra everything else, and I can make do with limited industry for now. Now, however, I have a building that does mean that I gain a decent amount of extra industry, and suddenly this decree costs me a bit more. So what I'm going to do is 247. Probably abolish it now. Let's have a quick look-see. And 247, that didn't actually help in the slightest with anything. So that's unfortunate. So I guess I will enact it again, and everybody in the government will be very confused by how rapidly I changed everything around. But you know what? That's okay. I may not enact it, however. Will I enact it or not? How long until this guy? It's only 2 turns until this thing is... You know what? I'll enact it for 1 more turn. No, not enact it, because this... Oh yeah, I forgot, this is slowing down this progress. So yeah, I will not enact it. I'll turn for now, I'll enact the thing that will make my people happier when they colonize some video. Meanwhile, my hero... Oh yeah, another reason not to enact it is that now he's got Mechanical Genius, which is an amazing ability, very good for early game. And this should... Yes, this did improve our industry production by a decent amount. And this will let us expand faster, and we do need to expand quite rapidly, because otherwise we'll be left behind, which is not exactly fun, is it? Let me drink some extra tea. It's a really good blend, and a Tor planet discovered! That's really good. Tor is usually pretty good because it's a tundra planet, and it has... it actually doesn't have any industry on it whatsoever. Never mind, right. Forgot about that part, but tundras nevertheless are useful for us. And they have a lot of other stuff as well. Obviously we don't care about the food, but dust and science, that's pretty good. Let's see what else is there. A snow, but with Kessler syndrome. Oh, that's really nasty actually. And then we have a forest and steppes. You know, in my previous playthrough, offline playthrough, I don't remember who was playing as. Thor was amazing. In this case, yeah, no, not so much. Over! Only one planet that is instantly colonizable. Let's see, 2 atolls, an arid, gas giant, and a toxic. Atolls are kind of nasty, but they do have some pretty decent anomalies as well. Maybe I'll grab it at some point. I'm not in a rush, however. So let's go ahead and keep moving my scout around. And as for Fudgies, yeah, it's going to become a colony next turn, so let's adjust our laws and have the new colony enacted, which is going to increase our approval by, well, considerable amount, really. And it doesn't really cost us even that much to maintain, so that's lovely, isn't it? So let me drink some more tea again, because I'm very thirsty every time I record videos. And as you can see, with this one law, our empire is now devoted, because people love us, because we made a new colony, and they're very happy about it. So, we have a new ship that we can now retrofit to have it explore the galaxy at a faster pace. So let's go ahead and do just that. Bada beam, bada boom, and now I should be able to retrofit. There we go, retrofit complete. Let's go ahead and move my ships around as well. Gemini discovered it has Hyperium. That's very important. We do care about having more Hyperium. How good is this resource of Hyperium? It's an abundant deposit. That's really good. It's on a Terran, however. That's really bad. And this system is also really bad. Which in general makes me actually very sad, Panda. But let's explore this curiosity. Maybe this will mean making this system worthwhile to Oh. Yeah, for middle game battles, I'll probably end it on average deposit as well, which is pretty good. I'll probably have to colonize the system even if I want or not. But Terrans are out there. I'll probably grab them anyway, actually, because AI labor is pretty decent, and I have a lot of sterile planets. Plus, I can always, de-terraform the Terran planets, so... Yeah, I think I might colonize it. Not right now, of course, but at a later date, I'll probably have to do that. Anyway, for now, let's focus on Altair. Did I write the video? Yeah, I sure did, because otherwise this guy would take forever to get to Altair. Anywho, a clever fake. So, I can either ignore enough encounters or I can fly the technology. I really hate random technologies because they screw up with your technology research order. Because if you don't have... You might grab a technology that is expensive and whatnot, that you want to grab anyway. But it's just really bad gambling, because you might grab technology that you don't want. For instance, I might grab planetary landscaping, and this would be pretty bad, because this will increase the cost of all other technologies. Because the more technologies you have, the more expensive they become. So this event might give you a technology that means nothing for you, increases the cost of all other technologies for you, and it also costs you a lot of science over the entire empire. No, we're going to ignore this. Nothing's here, nothing to see here. It's just a thing. Nothing to see there. Alrighty then, so let's have a quick look see at you. So our planet. We need to try and kickstart the system as quickly as possible, and of course we're going to do that by having Xeno infrastructure on as quickly as possible, because it's really an amazing improvement. Everybody loves it, really. Even though, I mean, it's not the best for lambas, but even then it's still extra 10 industry, which is quite good. But then again, would this guy be cheaper? It would cost the same. It would cost the same and give us actually better stuff, honestly. So let's go ahead and go for machine embodiment as quickly as possible after their own networks are done, and then go for Sinnoh industrial infrastructure, and then probably go for Colonized Ash, and that's when this thing will start paying for itself, I believe. Alrighty then, new colony obviously has to stay active for as long as possible. Now, we do want to expand, and after we do that, I kinda want to have cerebral reality in there somewhere at some point, because it's a really nice boost to everything. Public-private partnerships are also amazing, but then again, I don't have any temperate. I will have a temperate planet, but I need, first and foremost, to actually have extra population over here. I guess I'll wait with that. Anyway, I think everything is done over here on this test, so let's go ahead and drink some more tea to celebrate the fact. Alright, so how are the... Oh yeah, religious party is not doing too hard, is it? I will need to improve that fact. So let's have a quick look, see at what the people think. So how are the ecologists supported? Well, only religious technologies is what supports them, and AI just did something bad. I don't want to know what. We can have this increased even further. Oh, this research 10 curiosities. Those were, I think Horatio is who I gave this color. I really want to try to have the religious party in the government, so I'll delay the expansion and install the spin project, which isn't bad. You can always do some extra influence in the early game, necessarily. I mean, it's not necessarily bad is what I was trying to say. So let's go ahead and do that. Obviously, like I said, it's very difficult to get the religious party in the government, but I want to at the very least try and see if I can get anywhere with that. As for you, well, I will not be able to do anything with them for a while now. But thankfully their relation with me is increasing at a steady pace because of the things I did in the past. So let's have a quick look. See, now unfortunately I'm going to increase the support for other parties by expanding to this here system. Which planet do I want to colonize? Well, the planet with us nebula most likely. It's, besides the amount of industry we gain all of those planets is the same. So let's go ahead and grab this one. I mean, snow is even worse than the toxic planets. So let's go ahead, land over here. Watch this cutscene because I do like the colonization cutscenes, they don't get old. The things that did get old for me eventually, which I'm really sad about, is the system introduction when you zoom in on every individual planet. Like, it looks so cool the first time you see it, but only the first time you see it, and that's so sad. Anyway, let's keep in mind for that. Okay, so for now we still have the boost bonus, which is going to end pretty soon, but we still have the approval bonus, which is nice. What is the next technology I want? Well, there's nothing that will boost my religious party, unfortunately, so I'll have to think about something else instead. I kind of want to get to the next tier to have an extra law available. Having more laws is generally a pretty good thing, so I can just go for adaptive bureaucracies because I would probably want to grab them either way. And they will allow me to colonize atolls, and we have some pretty good atolls. Alternatively, I can go for botanical scanning, which is not a bad thing, mind you. Sure, our major population can't benefit from that, but our other populations can. And I do care about increasing their amount. So I think about that, the galactic commodities. I'm not at the point where I can increase those at a steady pace. Marketplace, let's have a quick look, see at what our population wants to breed faster. They want a void stone. I don't think there will be any void stone on the marketplace, so probably, yeah, galactic commodities not for right now, that's not something we need. We could of course sell titanium and Hyperion for dust, but I don't really want to do that. What else is there? Atmospheric filtration, that we will grab at some point, but again, we don't need it right now. Baryonic shielding, I believe I saw Savannah somewhere, so it's not bad, and it gives us warp drive, which is not bad either. But again, none of those things are important and relevant at this point in time, so I should think about something else. So I will at some point need to be able to colonize Ocean, and the booster program might be important if I cannot get the religious party in the lead. So that bureaucracies are quite tempting, and again, atoll colonization is nice. On the other hand, botanical scanning and epigenetic crop seeding, they're cheap technologies that increase your food gain by a lot, which would allow me to get more epistes in my empire, as well as in the future pilgrims and whatnot, which are really fun to have actually. I really like the bonuses that pilgrims give you. As much as I wish I could say I hate them, I don't hate them unfortunately. Not in this game at the very least. So, alright, let's it's either botanical scanning or adaptive bureaucracies. And I know I will go for this thing, and getting adaptive bureaucracies would lower the cost. How fast are we growing, my system? Not very fast, but the speed of this system's growth will increase as I get more epistes, because they will give me a lot of extra food on sterile planets. I'm about to colonize a sterile planet. And on the other, I can then ship an epistes over here to breed faster. But then again, that doesn't necessarily... That will help the pilgrims at some... Yeah, but I want to grow pilgrims, I don't want to grow epistes. Epistes are kind of cancerous, actually, because they give you pretty poor rewards for having epistes, so... Adaptive bureaucracies it is, and I'm gonna go for this because this will give me access to better laws very quickly. I mean, not better laws, more laws. But more laws is also always nice. Anyway, let's go ahead and play through the 10th then, and we're probably going to finish this video after we go through our very first election. And then we'll see how it goes. Taliafa. I'm also very surprised I haven't managed to find any major empire yet, but anyway, this system is quite interesting actually. A lot of deserts, I like me some deserts. Savannah, well, I guess I'll for sure now grab it. And an ash planet as well. Very good all around. This guy has a cosmite volcano. I'll probably try to explore this planet and maybe try to colonize it at area's convenience as well. Binary moons could be useful in the future, could be useless, we'll see how it goes. Gemini, I wish I could love it, but this is such a bad system, but has such good resources on it. We'll see what happens with that in a moment. I mean, not more necessarily. How long until we restock? 110. Let's wait 110 then and have this guy restock its probes. I'll tell you how well are you doing. I suppose nice. How we're doing with approval. We still have the benefit from the other thing that happened, so that's nice. And how are you feeling about religious party? I don't think they got a lot of support really. Moderate is really not good enough to go over scientists, so I call this unfortunately. Industrialists will win the election, no doubt about that. I just hope I can get religious in the government as well. That would be great. I want to start leveling up the religious support as quickly as possible. If I can do that, great. If not, that's just a shame. But that's everything I can do for now, and let's see what happens with the election. So, I'm going to support the religious, and I'm probably going to give us... I cannot go for lobbying, but I can give them a strong boost. It's not actually the most useful thing ever, because it's not already well supported, but it's still better than a small boost, honestly. And I want to try to have those guys in the lead, and I don't really have anything else I want to spend my dust on. Sure, I will expand, so I will need to save some dust for that, but I still have a pretty decent dust income if I remember correctly. So let's see if I can make the religious party reach the government. Let's see what happens. Yeah. That worked just fine. Industrialists and religious and nobody else. That's absolutely lovely. I'm very happy about that. Spiritual stability is now enacted. I could actually go for this because I don't like epistes. So as soon as I get the second population of epistes, I could go for that. And I know what I said earlier, that it's a good idea to have a lot of minor faction population in your empire, but epistes are so bad. Then again, I still probably will want them just to have better fits in my studying planet, on my studying planet. Regardless, what is important is that we achieved the fact that religious start to gain a foothold in our government. We'll try to keep them in there for as long as possible. And most importantly, industrialists are still very much so ahead, and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. But this was good enough for the first video. It's not as long as some of my other first 10 videos are. First videos of a series. But there's no reason to make it too long, I suppose. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty MiG Spammer. Thank you for watching. I think I repeated myself, and I'll see you online.